This question is testing a few concepts together, the most prominent one among them being the usage of pronouns. The original construction has a very obvious error. It reads, because there are provisions of the code that provide. Now this can be easily overlooked, but saying that these provisions that provide is obvious redundancy. It's called a provision because it provides something. So when we couple these two together, it causes a redundancy and we can get rid of A right off the bat. Now in B, we have the logic that because the code provides something something, it has already stimulated. And the it is obviously referring back to the code itself. And the code is singular, so this is proper pronoun agreement. This makes logical sense that the code has already stimulated some disputes, so we can hold on to that. Now C rephrases that and says even tiny islets can be the basis of something something something, and after this clause we have a comma followed by the present participle modifier construction. We already know that present participle modifiers put at the end of clauses will modify the whole clause in front of it. So for example, I can say the late night shows have gained massive popularity, making fun of Donald Trump. Now, the making fun of Donald Trump is the present participle modifier which is acting on the whole clause in front of it. But grammatically, there is one more check here. We should ensure that that modifier applies to the main subject, the late night shows, because the shows are making fun of Donald Trump. So when we think using that concept, the already stimulating these disputes will apply to the subject, tiny islets. And it doesn't make sense to say that these islets are stimulating the dispute. It makes sense to say that this code stimulated the disputes. So C goes off. D starts off with this dependent clause because even tiny islets can be something 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 and uses the pronoun this. Now this is GMAT's trap of using this to refer to an entire clause. Now what has stimulated the disputes? Because these tiny islets can be claimed for fisheries under this maritime code. So using the pronoun this to refer to an entire clause will be inappropriate. D goes off. And in E, we can notice that it once again starts off with this dependent clause because even tiny islets can be the basis. And this dependent clause is followed by a relative clause which is already stimulating. So what we can notice here is that there is no independent clause present in this sentence, and for any sentence to be a proper sentence, there has to be at least one independent clause in it. Remember that an independent clause is a clause that can make a sentence on its own. And if it's missing in a sentence, we're dealing with incomplete construction. So E is a run-on sentence. This leaves us with the right answer choice, B for Bravo.